Welcome back. It is yours truly, Nick of Movie AV Impulse, and today I'm going to be talking about one of Denzel's great movies that for some reason nobody is talking about and why we need a 4K release. And if you've never seen this movie, I highly encourage you to not even hesitate. I know for a fact it is on Tubi. If you do use Tubi, it is on there. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. It is a remake of an 80s movie with the same title, Man on Fire. But of course, this has Denzel in it. And let's face it, nobody's really going to challenge Denzel when it comes to any type of movie role. This man just knows how to make a movie, and it's fantastic. Anyways, I'm here to rant about that movie because I'm just sick and tired of these movie studios coming out with 8 different versions of Chucky, 8 different versions of Jason, 8 different versions of this steelbook and that steelbook and this slipcover and that case, and it's just getting boring. So what I want to do with these rant segments is talk about movies that people tend to forget that are in actors or directors like catalogs, and let's just get good movies back and get these 4Ks rolling out, or hell, even Blu-rays. Speaking of that, I do have a top 5 coming on Wednesday that you are not going to want to miss, with a special guest that I am extremely excited agreed to come on. Tune in on Wednesday. But anyways, before we get into the rant, I will try to throw spoilers if I think I may spoil the movie a little bit for you. But if not, hey, I'm just glad you tuned in. And do me a favor, before we get into that intro, just hit that like button. It helps out the channel a lot more than you think. And there's a reason why I always say, hit the like button. You don't have to subscribe. But if you do, hey, I appreciate that too. Anyways, let's get into that intro. Before I go on, I just want to say that this video was actually inspired by a good friend of mine, Scott, over on Instagram. He goes by Joe Jokers, and I will link him down below. So I was scrolling through Instagram one day and came across him, and he said, you know, he has like this little plaque and it says now playing, and then he'll put a movie that he's playing. And I saw that he put Denzel Washington's Man on Fire. Now, I love Man on Fire, but I totally forgot about this one and kind of, you know, in my memory, just kind of put it to the side. And I was just like, man, that's a really good movie. I own the DVD. I know they came out with the Blu-ray, but let's see if they got a 4K. So I jumped on to find out there's no 4K for this movie. And it's a damn shame because when you look up 4K movies, we have so many movies that have different, like I said, steelbooks, slipcovers, cases, collector's editions. It's not that I'm really trying to get on these sites. It's just that how many copies of The Thing do we need? How many copies of our Event Horizon do we need? Like, honestly, how many Terminators do we need? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that these are all like bad, but they really need to start digging into these archives and start getting movies that are really, really, really great movies. Now, Man on Fire was just one of those revenge movies that is so incredibly well done. The way that this movie was shot and the way that all of the scenes when he's like kind of looks like a daydream sequence, if I would have to describe it, you know, where he's thinking about something or he knows something is about to go down. It's almost like this way that this director just really meshed everything together and like took different scenes and different shots, and it's just beautifully done. Like I said, this video was inspired because Scott, he ended up writing a nice little piece, and when he was watching the movie, I messaged him and I was like, hey man, you're really gonna love that movie. And come to find out, he did. If I'm not mistaken, he gave it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It is a long movie, and I know a lot of people don't like long movies for some reason, but when a long movie that's 2.5 hours doesn't feel like 2.5 hours, and if you guys can waste 3.5 hours on watching something like Avatar, then you guys can definitely watch Man on Fire. It has great storyline. It has a revenge plot to it. It is, starring Denzel Washington. It's got Mark Anthony. It's got Dakota Fanning, who I believe she was only like 7 or 8 when she made this movie, and she was absolutely spectacular. Why we don't have a 4K is beyond me. So let's rewind. Let's start from the top. Denzel is a former CIA agent, and he's retired. He's an alcoholic. He has no family and basically really nothing to live for. So Denzel's character was hired to protect the daughter, and during this whole thing, Denzel's character is pretty cold. He's just doing his job. He even says to Mark Anthony at one point, "I'm only going to do the job that you pay me for." So basically saying that if he wants a better job of protecting his own daughter, that pretty much he's going to have to pay him more money, because that's just who the character is. It literally feels like an hour-and-a-half movie because the action and the storyline just sucks you right in. And I love that when movies can do that. When you watch an hour-and-a-half movie and you think to yourself like, wow, this is really boring. I can't believe I just wasted an hour-and-a-half of my life. It just gets you frustrated, and it makes you really not want to watch movies like that anymore. But when you watch a 2.5-hour movie and you feel like you walk away satisfied, that is just one incredible feeling. And that's the one thing I love about cinema. And I feel like nowadays, there's not enough of that. Everybody's just rushing out this garbage and this junk, and they're just trying to make a quick dollar. And it just really bothers me. But anyways, I'm ranting on, and pretty much that's what this segment is about. Ranting. Dakota Fanning actually ends up getting kidnapped, and Denzel's character gets shot. Once he recoups from his coma that he's in for a couple of days, he was in a coma. And once he comes up out of that coma, he pretty much makes a promise that he is going to get the daughter back. Spoiler alert, real quick. The family's lawyers in on this. Basically, almost everybody is in on this damn job that, kidnapping so that they can get money, for the daughter. In this movie, the way that he tortures people is just insane. And it's about the last, so I'd say about 45 minutes of the movie is basically character developing. It is showing you the relationship between Denzel, and it's showing you the relationship with Dakota Fanning, and how Dakota Fanning basically opens Denzel up. Now, Denzel, there is one point in the movie where he tries to commit suicide, and the gun never goes off. And I think that's when he got a wake-up call of maybe there's something more important in my life to do, and he found out what it was. And the best thing about this movie is after that 45 minutes of character development story, you get another, half an hour of a little bit more storyline, and like how he's finding out who and what and how everybody is behind this. And then, Mark Anthony's character, once Denzel finds out certain things, he gives him an ultimatum, or basically makes him make a decision. And it is really tough on Mark Anthony to make that decision. But once you see the movie, if you haven't seen it, I think Mark Anthony made the right decision on doing what he did. At the end, once everything comes together, Denzel has to make a choice. Does everything come together? One thing I think that we really have a great Dolby Atmos track in this movie are a few parts. There's one part where, she actually gets kidnapped. There's so much going on, gunshots everywhere, Denzel's running, and, the other parts is when they go into like these kind of dream sequences where they're taking different bits of the movie and kind of placing it in that one moment. I think when they're doing those kind of dream sequences or cinematic sequences, there's echoing everywhere, and that echoing would sound so crazy coming from the ceiling speakers or even a sound bar just bouncing up and off. Like, I'm telling you, once you go Dolby Atmos, it is really hard to sit back and watch a movie and not just reach for that remote and hit that simulation button to kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse of what it would be like if that movie was mixed in Dolby Atmos. Now, when a movie is actually mixed from the studios in Dolby Atmos, it obviously sounds better. Any audio person will tell you that. But when it's simulated, sometimes it'll, kind of glitch out and put the sounds up there that are not supposed to be. And I just really would want the director himself or the studio to kind of put the mix where it belongs. And I think that's where the simulation versus them mixing it into the movie are two totally different things. So another aspect, because this movie has a lot more darker tone, it's more of a tan tone, but then when they go into like these dream sequences, it's a little bit on that blue side of a cinematic feel, that this should be done in Dolby Vision, but it's not really meant to be super colorful. So I think if they were to do a 4K release on this with a nice slipcover or a steelbook with like Denzel just kind of like open firing, something like that would be just awesome, and I would love to see that. If you haven't seen it, like I said, I know for a fact it is on Tubi. Go check it out. And like I said, I hope you tune in on Wednesday, because it is going to be my top 5 that you are definitely going to want to check out if you never checked them out. And I do have a special guest, and that special guest is... Stay tuned on Wednesday and you'll find out. Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget, on that way out, hit that like button. See ya.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me. You're not going anywhere.